everybody, to episode number 47 of the Building the Village podcast. As always, I'm your host, Dr. Brandon W. Jones, your Chief Village Building Strategist. And I'm excited once again because I get to be in studio in this really nice space with my friends from Pillar Productions. And so I'm super excited to be back in this space. And I hope you all enjoy the content that we have for you all today. So what we're going to be talking about is the power of small gestures. And I know a lot of times when we talk about these things, it's typical for people to think that we've got to major in the majors or focus on the big things. But I want to encourage you all during this episode to be thinking about those things that are small and mighty and super significant, because there's great things that can happen, even though it might seem to be very small. And so our goal for this episode is to help you all understand that community or building the village isn't always built through things that are super big or through events that are grand or those gestures that we'll remember, like the Jared's Diamonds commercials and all those different things. Community is built or often formed and strengthened through those things that are consistent and thoughtful and sometimes seemingly small actions. And so this episode is going to hopefully inspire you all to make small moves that will have a major impact. Now, before we dive into the key talking points, I want y'all to do me a favor. Please make sure that you are liking the episodes, that you're commenting, and more importantly, that you're also subscribing on YouTube, or if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or however you're listening to this or watching this, make sure that you keep the love going by liking, commenting, subscribing, and even sharing what we talk about today. And so the first thing I want to do is talk about why small gestures matter. Listen, small gestures matter because they create this thing called emotional residue. And what I mean by that is that emotional residue is that thing that lasts long after we've been interacting with the person or after we've spent time with each other. Dr. Maya Angelou is quoted as saying, "I've learned that people will forget what you said and people will forget what you did, but they will never forget how you made them feel." And so I want to encourage you all to be mindful of those small gestures that can have a major impact, especially around connecting with other people. And remember, it's about how you made them feel. What was it like to experience you? What was it like to interact with you? Making people feel like they mattered in your presence. That can go a long way in this thing we call building the village. And so again, don't just get so hyper focused on the big things that we miss the opportunities on the small. Speaking of which, the second thing I want to say is that good things come in small packages. Good things come in small packages. I've been a part of Big Brothers Big Sisters since I was a freshman in college, and y'all don't need to know how long ago that was. But one of the things that I love about them is that they have this motto, and it says that little moments can lead to big magic. And that's meaningful because in an organization like Big Brothers Big Sisters, you've got kids that are on a wait list hoping that somebody will want to spend 30 minutes a week with them or 2 hours every month, just connecting and hanging out with a mentor and a friend. And you can imagine the life-size monumental impact that can have on the life of a kid. That small gesture, that hanging out with that kid at lunch or doing something that's seemingly small, it goes a long way. And so I want to encourage you to remember that sometimes the best gifts come in small packages. Think about it like this. If it's Christmas time, right, or your birthday, and you get handed a small package, think about all the great things that can come in a small package. The key to a house, the key to a car, $1 million in cash. You don't need a big box for that, right? Well, you need a big box because that's a lot of cash, but it depends on the type of currency that you're using, or a gift card with a large amount on it, or an envelope that has all your debts paid on it. Those things can come in very, very, very small packages, and they can have the most meaningful impact. And so again, don't ignore the power of things that come in small packages. And then last but certainly not least, small gestures can help build connection. Now, when we talk about building the village, we're talking about forming connections. And there's a whole field of neuroscience that talks about all the great things that can happen through, or the power rather, of small acts of kindness. Neuroscientists have done countless studies that have shown that acts of kindness, even really, really, really small ones, can release what's called oxytocin. And oxytocin is known as the connection hormone. And so we are literally built and wired for connection with each other. And so why don't we do more things that allow us to connect and engage with people in ways that are truly significant, and form those connections that release those neurons or that oxytocin that might make somebody's day. Now, you're probably sitting there asking yourself, hey, Dr. Jones, wait a second. What are some ways that we can actualize this? What are some ways that we can make this come together? And I'm glad you asked. Here are a couple of examples of small gestures that can strengthen your village. The first one is something simple as texting somebody you haven't heard from in a while. Think about it. When's the last time you heard from a particular person that you really, really care about, or a person that you thought you were building a friendship with or whatever, but you hadn't heard from them in a minute, and you get that text message from them? That means something. And I know somebody's thinking, yeah, but if I hadn't heard from a person in a while, they're probably running a scam or something like that. And that may be true, right? At the same time, it is good to send somebody a text just to let them know you're thinking about them, or that you're on their mind. And you never know how that small act of kindness can make a big difference in somebody else's life. Another good example is remembering somebody's birthday or a key milestone. Right now, I'm reading Pastor Ryan Leake's book, How to Work with Complicated People. And one of the things that he said that he does is, in his house, they celebrate half birthdays. And so when he's consulting with companies and organizations, he recommends that supervisors, if you really want to turn a corner with somebody, start sending people an email or a card on their half birthday, because he guaranteed that the majority of people in the world don't celebrate their half birthdays. And that small gesture can have a meaningful impact in your organization or in your church or on your team. Another good example is checking in on somebody after a major event in their life. For my teenagers that are listening to this could be after a breakup, or right now we're in the graduation season. And so people are out there trying to find jobs. So checking in and asking someone how that interview went, or this is a big one, but also it's small too, checking in with somebody that's gone through a loss of a job, a loved one, whatever the case may be. I know that this gesture seems a little old school to some people, but it still goes a long way. Actually holding the door or saying good morning or offering a compliment. I visit a lot of schools in my line of work, and one of the things that I notice is that people don't often say hello in the mornings when they're walking in the halls. Only speaking to people that we know, that's easy to do. Anybody can do that. You never know the difference that it makes to say hello to a stranger, or to say good morning to a person that is going through something and that you don't know what they're dealing with. But that good morning or that hello or that smile, while small and insignificant to us, could mean the world to that person. Another act of kindness that we can do, or a small gesture, is bringing a cup of coffee to somebody, or helping somebody carry their bag into a building. Another good one is publicly celebrating somebody else's win or good news. And that's tricky. That can be tricky for some of us. And we had a whole other episode on actually being able to celebrate other people's wins. You can go back and look at that one. But the last thing I want to do is address the barriers that come up to doing small things, because a lot of us intend or mean to do well, but there's things that naturally occur. And the first one that usually comes up when we talk about these things is the lack of time. A lot of us will say, well, I don't have time to do these things that are small, or to do these random acts of kindness. My solution: schedule it. Put it into your calendar. Put a note in your notes app, or set an alarm to say, hey, at 9:15 every day, I'm going to speak to somebody, or I'm going to send that text message to that cousin that I'm thinking about. The second thing that a lot of us say is a barrier is man, they're not even going to notice, or they won't care. They're not even going to pay attention. And I would argue as a solution, we need to remind ourselves why we're doing this to begin with. Because if I'm doing this to get something back in return, that takes the level of care and it removes the significance of the gesture. We want to do this thing because it's the nice thing or the right thing to do, not because I'm going to get something in return. My other favorite excuse that people might throw out there for why they won't do these small gestures is because it's awkward. And my solution that I'm proposing is find a naturally occurring point in the day or in your interaction with that person that allows it to seem more natural when you offer up that small gesture. Because again, we don't want to just pop up out of nowhere and just be like, hey, I am being nice to you today. That is awkward. What we want to do instead is, hey, if I know that this person takes their lunch break at this time every day, timing it, making it feel less awkward, that is something that you and I get to be in control of. And so those are the barriers that often come with being able to offer up these small gestures. But I want us to remember that it's very, very, very important for us to focus on just building it into the day and remembering that there are so many benefits to being kind, and not only being kind, but doing those small things, because small things over time actually add up to make the biggest difference. And so I hope you all got something out of today's episode. Feel free to send me a comment or drop a line on social media at B Jones Speaks. That's the same handle on YouTube as well as on my LinkedIn. I'm Brandon Jones. I'd love to hear more from you all about how you're able to apply this particular episode today. And so until we come together again, take care of yourselves and each other. Peace.